Hello, I'm Scott Soshnick.
And I'm Eben Novi-Williams, and this is the $4 billion hardwood floor sports business podcast, the Sporticast.
Another episode off. Kurt Badenhausen is here. He has to do all the talking, all the thinking. He has to do it all. Eben, you chime in a little bit like me. Kurt, NBA valuations time. I love the valuations episodes. And I'm just going to tell you what I'm looking at. This is not going to be one of the top things that you want to discuss. But I see, I went back throughout the years. Knicks number 1, Knicks number 2, Knicks number 3. I'm like, wait a minute. There is a gap to 4. But in my mind, I always think of Knicks as, like, if you ask most people the most valuable basketball team in the NBA, they would default to Knicks. It's New York, Madison Square Garden. But they're kind of going down the list, not going up the list. And there are plenty of reasons why. Get to it whenever you want. But as I always do, I say, Kurt, I turn the forum over to you for your top line insights.
Well, yeah. So let's touch on Eben's intro, which I think is a big part of what we're talking about here. The floor, the hardwood floor, $4 billion. That's the get-in price right now. That's up 3x from what it was in 2022. So Memphis Grizzlies down at $4 billion. New Orleans Pelicans also down in that same range. And so we're morphing more towards that NFL model, right? Bigger check from the league office was $103 million in TV money last year. That's going to step up $40 million this year, and then incremental gains throughout the rest of the TV contract, eventually getting up to around $300 million per team. And then a better economic system where teams are protected from spending like crazy. What we saw with Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Clippers, those guys were writing $100 million plus luxury tax checks every year. Second apron now makes it very challenging to construct a roster and still do that. So it makes for a harder cap up at the top for those free spending teams. And so that's overall up 20%, $5.5 billion is the average value. And at the very top, when you think about Lakers, Knicks, right now we have them almost at a coin flip. The Knicks are about 1% behind. And if you look at the last 12 months, obviously we have a transaction with the Lakers that is not completed or approved, but Mark Walters is going to pay $10 billion, $10 billion valuation. To take control of the Lakers, and the Knicks we have just behind it, $9.85 billion. The Knicks, the Lakers have the best TV deal, local TV deal in the sport, $200 million last year. Knicks, on the other hand, based on the arrangement between MSG Networks and the debt that was on that RSN, the Knicks had to take a 28% cut to their annual rights fee. And forego any sort of increases moving forward through the rest of the deal.
So for folks who are curious about the actual list, number 1 is the Warriors, $11.33 billion. The Lakers next, as Kurt said, $10 billion. Knicks next at $985 billion. Sorry. And then there's a gap between that and then the Clippers, the Celtics, and the Nets after that. You mentioned the Lakers there, Kurt. $10 billion valuation in the transaction, $10 billion valuation here on the Sportico. I assume that's a bit of a coincidence. I know you don't take transactions and automatically peg your valuations to the valuation on the team, but interesting to me that they basically align exactly.
Yeah, talking to people, they think that is the proper valuation. That's a real number, not, despite what if you think about some of the the fact that Mark Walter already owned a significant stake. General consensus is 16 times revenue, which is basically what he's paying, is appropriate valuation for the Lakers.
That's a good way not to have to do too much due diligence, own a significant stake in the franchise, and when you acquire the rest, say, you know what's under the hood. That's like
your Kang approach.
Yeah, you've rented a house for a while. You want to buy the house. You know the roof doesn't leak for sure. So that's a good thing to do. Kurt, another one of my takeaways was, again, we're old, but we don't have to go that far back in the memory bank to remember people were making fun of Steve Ballmer. People were making fun of Wes Edens at the time for buying the Bucks at $550 million, I think it was. I think it's turned out okay on the fronts for those NBA owners who, excuse me, spend freely to get what they thought was a trophy asset.
Yeah, if you look at the growth in this league, it is over the last 15 years. I mean, you go back to 15 years ago, you had 9 teams sold between 2010 and 2012. I mean, people were dumping these franchises like crazy, and they were selling them for, on average, about 3 times revenue. If you look at what happened, the Lakers deal, 16 times revenue.
It's crazy.
We've seen with the Celtics deals, roughly 13 times normalized revenue. In Portland, the sale to Tom Dundon is going to be about 12 times revenue. Now, we're having a step up this year of $40 million in terms of TV money. So in theory, those multiples will come down. And everybody, when they're looking at buying one of these franchises, they're looking at revenue, 25, 26 revenue with the new TV money coming in. But again, the much improved CBA and more optimism as you think about the international opportunity there. Obviously, the NBA Africa League is already up and running. Relations with China have been re-engaged, and opportunity is still there. And then, of course, the big one, NBA Europe, which everybody's looking at right now, and looking to get some teams up and going in 2027.
And those prices could be $500 million and up, upwards to maybe $1 billion to get in that league.
Exactly, and so. And you're not going to see expansion domestically in the NBA. I don't think, quite anytime soon. But a nice little check for expansion franchises in Europe will kind of hold the fort until they're ready to do domestic expansion.
I wanted to ask you about China specifically, Kurt. The NBA, the last 5 or 6 years have been a roller coaster for the NBA in China, dating back to Daryl Morey's tweet and the fallout there. The league is back playing games in China as of last week. I imagine you don't have a kind of a China variable in your master algorithm, but I am curious how you think about, as the NBA returned to its pre-Daryl Morey China opportunity, has it blown past it? How do you think about, in the world's most populous or second most populous country, where that relationship stands right now in terms of fully repaired, partially repaired, on the repair?
I don't think you can ever say fully repaired. It's always a tenuous balance between moving forward with China. So I don't think they're all the way back, but I think there's renewed optimism. And what you look at when you think about the games that just took place, Patrick Dumont was spearheaded a lot of it because of
Mavericks owner.
Operations for Mavericks owner, yes, because of Las Vegas Sands and what they're looking to do in Macau and already possess in Macau. So I think there is cautious optimism in terms of what's ahead. The NBA will tell you, I mean, this is still their second biggest market, and they look at a second biggest opportunity out in front of them.
And the NBA was just in Abu Dhabi. They're not leaving any stone unturned. Expansion in all ways, certainly. Can I mix metaphors here, though? Can I transfer a little baseball to basketball? Because
please,
we're looking at specific franchises who went up the most, who did. But if anybody would have hit a home run most recently, I have to think it was Mr. Alex Rodriguez and his purchase of the Timberwolves, looking at those numbers in terms of what they paid and what you say they're worth. Anybody wondering why Glenn Taylor seems so intent on trying to scuttle that deal and hold on to the franchise needs only look at the difference in those two numbers to figure out why maybe he realizes that he did not get an optimal price.
If you think about what they paid, that first payment, I think $1.5 billion, blended value probably $1.55 billion. We have them at $4.24 billion now. And that was 2021. They agreed to it. And of course, it's not just the Timberwolves. So our valuations include real estate related businesses. And if you think about related businesses there, Minnesota Lynx were also part of that deal. And when A-Rod did the deal, the valuation attributed to the Lynx was
Zippo.
Pretty close to zero.
Yeah, zip.
And now we have the Lynx. We're $275 million and headed up from there. If you think about some of the recent what's going on in Connecticut and that sale price. So absolutely home run for A-Rod and Mark Laurie. And they have big, it's going to be interesting how that unfolds because they are pushing hard ahead, need a new arena. And how that works, but there is a lot of optimism. Have a fantastic team. Should compete for Western Conference title this year. So I think a lot of optimism on and off the court, and it's we wrote about it a lot in terms of trying to bring investors into this deal. And a lot of people said, "Nah, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it." But those guys have to be kicking themselves right now. Those people who passed.
Are we post deal in the NBA at this point? I mean, it's crazy to talk. I mean, Scott, you mentioned Wes Edens and Ballmer when they bought, and people thought they were crazy, and turns out they had great deals. That A-Rod deal was 2021, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. So not actually that far away. I mean, do you see? Are we past the point now, Kurt, where Blazers sell or the Celtics sell for $6 billion, and 3 years back we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, what an incredible deal? Or do you think this is just just where we are right now in the valuation uptick in sports?
I think it's where we are. We keep talking about can't go higher, can't go higher, can't go higher. I memean, we when the Lakers deal got done at $10 billion and did a ton of radio interviews and newspaper interviews, I told every person I talked to, I'm telling you, in 10 years, this thing's going to be worth at least $20 billion. And that would be conservative. So are we going to see the same kind of uptick that we saw right now, where you think about the Warriors going from $450 million to $11.3 billion over 15 years? No, I don't think we're going to see 25x over the next 15 years. But I don't think we're in a bubble by any stretch. The NBA has barely tapped the economics outside of the United States. It's less than 10% of their league revenue, and if you think about the global population and it cares about basketball. We always talk about the NFL.
The big thing. Yeah.
The NFL, again, it's a tough sell outside the U.S. It's not really played in a lot of countries, but basketball is played on every corner of the globe. So that is the opportunity, how to figure out how to monetize that properly.
And Kurt, for that, do you assign the opportunity in internationally the same to the Lakers as you do to the Pelicans, or is it? Does the international opportunity really favor the 5 or 10 biggest teams more so than it does everybody else?
We largely think about it the same. Again, those when you think about those bigger brands, are they going to have better sponsorship opportunities internationally? Absolutely. The Golden State Warriors doing their jersey patch deal with Rakuten, $45 million a year to put the logo on the jersey. That doesn't happen in New Orleans. But most of these economics are going to flow through the league office, owning 1/30 of this entity. The NBA is going to drive this. Media is, the number one opportunity there where you're going to be able to monetize this. But then building equity in these properties, whether it's NBA Africa, NBA Europe, NBA China, and that opportunity is why you have some owners pushing back on the idea of expansion. They don't want to dilute their stake further. Now, you can argue it's just a math equation where you got to come up with the right number that makes it worth it, and that number's gone up a lot. But that there is certainly a small contingent of owners that doesn't want to do expansion domestically.
Yep.
Little promotional housekeeping, Eben. As part of Invest in Sports, we'll have the NBA's investment chief sitting in conversation, I believe, with MLS investment chief. That's November 4th at Invest over at NASDAQ. We're talking about bubbles and sports rights, both media, franchise values. We have Mark Shapiro on the Yes Network show. I think that's airing on the 23rd. If you want to see a guy excitable about the future of sport and the future of content, tune in to hear Mark Shapiro. He's on fire, if I can quote, where we were. I mean, bullish doesn't do justice to
there's
what
no
Mark
bubble in
Shapiro.
his eyes.
Yeah, no, there is no, other than the one that is like, the one that keeps going up is rising through, and everybody's going up with it. That's
Hot
where
air
Mark
balloon,
thinks
yeah,
sport.
sun
Yeah,
bubble, yeah.
yep. That's where Mark Shapiro is. So I mean, David Stern had his Timpu Bhutan moment, and Kurt, when I was in Dubrovnik over last summer, and I'm walking the walls of the old city. And I look down, and there's the kids playing on the really nice basketball court, only viewable from the wall. I took a picture, and I sent it to Adam Silver, and I'm like, this is how you win. Like, this is the moment. This is the middle of Dubrovnik, the old city. There the kids playing, at a court you never would see elsewhere. And I know Adam got some bad press and excoriated a bit when he talked about, well, we're a different league now. People can watch pieces of the game. We're a highlight league. It wasn't exactly what he meant to say, but I think the NBA, and you tell me if I'm wrong, they have this great media deal. Everybody still judges by how many people watched on TV. But the fact that it is a very snackable, social-friendly, youthful sport, I think bodes well for the NBA in terms of the ability to reach into my pocket and get credit cards from eyeballs for all the things we say are associated with sport and kids.
I think absolutely. It's a very consumable sport in bits and highlights and 30-second pieces. That is how a large generation of people are consumed this, and they are trying to, particularly internationally, talk about it's building a fan base, building engagement, and the money will follow. You get enough people that want to consume your sport, and you can figure out how to make money from it. But that's where the NBA's focus has been on, and the international push to this point.
It's no secret that I'm not an NBA guy, but I do want to just to counter argument that for a second. One of the things that Adam Silver has been asked a lot recently, and I do see it on social media also, is that it seems like NBA fans dislike the league more than fans of any other sport, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. It does seem like every sport has its problems. Every league, every commissioner is disliked by some subset of its fans. There's rules that people want changed, etc. It feels like the NBA is in a different stratosphere here, and I am curious to see how it navigates that. The snackable moments are good in some ways. They're also, I would argue, kind of dangerous to the bottom line in other ways. And I think the NFL, part of its kind of secret sauce here has been that it has created this product that people want to sit down and watch literally for 12 hours on a Sunday.
Well, I don't want to compare anything to the NFL.
I don't want to compare it either, but we started this by talking about how the NBA is kind of approaching NFL model style in terms of valuation and numbers and league-wide distribution. But yeah, I do think that there is a little bit of a difference here. And in some ways, the devaluing of the regular season, which is a thing in a number of leagues, but certainly a thing in the NBA, seems like it is a potential danger for the league as it approaches kind of the stratosphere.
Can I make a prediction? I'm going to make a prediction, but you say devaluing the regular season, but they have taken steps such as things like the in-season tournament. Yep. Totally different. I am going to make a prediction here. What's the date of air? So we'll say we're 16 date of air. Is that right?
I love a Soshnick prediction. Yeah.
Thank you. My prediction will be that they will sell equity in the in-season tournament. That will not be a 100% NBA O&O property.
And do you think NBA Europe teams pop in and participate in that?
Yeah, sure. You win if you win, the league, the Euro League, then you come in, you pop in, you play the following season. Sure, but there will be outside equity stakeholders in the in-season tournament if everybody can follow that, because it was hard to say.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, okay. just to me, it just feels like the thing that Adam Silver said about the highlight league, I think struck a nerve, because there's just the relationship the league has with its fans does feel like at this point in time is actually different than most other leagues have.
Yeah, I don't know.
Worse than Major League Baseball, you think?
I think worse than Major League Baseball, yeah. I think maybe not worse than Major League Baseball 4 years ago.
Well, wait until they miss games next year.
Yeah.
Most baseball fans I know are way happier now with the product than they were 5 years ago.
Agreed.
And by a very large delta. And maybe there's things that the NBA can do. There's little tweaks that in 5 years we look back and say, hey, remember when all the NBA fans were hating on the league in 25? And maybe they are. I don't know what these are. But yes, I think baseball has turned a corner in a nice way. We can talk about the economics of baseball moving forward at a different time. But yes, I think from a relationship with its fans perspective, I think baseball has actually turned the ship around.
What else were we instructed to talk about, Mr. Novi Williams? We had
the last one. Yeah, the last one was the Clippers. We touched on them a little bit. I guess I have two questions on the Clippers, Kurt. One, we saw with the Warriors having a brand new glitzy stadium that you control and build and own, and with excess revenue streams. We saw what that did for the Warriors' revenue. The Clippers also climbing up this list. I'm curious, in the first few years of the Intuit Dome, kind of what you've seen there, if you're seeing a similar trajectory as to the Warriors, or if there's some difference in the economics of the city or the building, etc. And then secondly, there's a lot of heat right now on Steve Ballmer. We have no clue what is going to happen with the NBA's investigation into the Kawhi Leonard situation. I assume that doesn't factor into your valuations at all, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's the Clippers. It's night and day. If you think about going from being the third tenant in Crypto.com, and very much a third tenant, or you could argue fourth tenant, because concerts were more important to that building and than giving priority to the Clippers, to where they are now and being able to control their destiny, and more importantly, control all of the economics at that building, as well as the building next door that Steve Ballmer had to buy, the Forum, the Kia Forum now, technically, which is one of the busiest arenas in the country. In terms of hosting concerts and other events there. It's when NBA All-Star is going to be there in February. Both arenas are going to be activated. And so what they've been able to do, though, is by owning and operating your building, control all the economics that go into it, control all the sponsorships, control all the premium seating. So you talked about the Warriors last year. Forgetting aspiration dollars, the Clippers had the second highest sponsorship revenue in the sport, behind only the Golden State Warriors. Now, it's a big step down from the Warriors to the Clippers, but revenue topped $500 million in year one in the building, so that's fourth behind Warriors, Lakers, Knicks. And there's still a lot more to do. I mean, they were just trying to get everything up and going to play basketball last year. So there's still a lot of assets that still need, premium assets that can still be sold. Didn't do a lot of necessarily non-NBA events in the building because they just were trying to get it ready for basketball. So there's still a lot of upside there and opportunity with what they can do. And controlling all your premium. They've got $2 million a year bunker suites. They've just the premium and sponsorship opportunity in an area like Los Angeles is fantastic.
If things have not changed, the union gets the right to audit 5 teams at the end of the year, if memory serves. I know they were salivating to get their hands on the Warriors after the first year of Chase Center, and I'm sure it was the same for Intuit. If you were wearing that hat, Kurt, and you were like, all right, here's a poster child for that sort of evaluation to get a peek behind the curtain of the NBA economics, which team or teams would you suggest that the players take a peek at?
I think you got to look at Intuit and the Clippers just because of the step up. You haven't seen a transformation like that, but you will over the next few years. The Philadelphia is super interesting because they're moving forward on a new building, and the economics for the 76ers have changed dramatically because they're able to share now. The arrangement is that they're able to share in the economics of that building, which they've been largely shut out of outside of ticketing and being able to take a little piece of the sponsorship pie. So dramatic transformation for the 76ers. We have their value up a lot with the new building coming, even though we're still 5 years out.
Yeah. And that's in the partnership with Comcast.
In a partnership with Comcast, absolutely. So we have their value up 23%, $5.6 billion.
Utah building a new one or renovating
Utah's
massively?
A renovation. The Thunder are going to do a brand new building, and the beauty of being in a small market, public's picking up the entire tab, which is a fantastic deal for Thunder ownership. So we're entering kind of a new building boom in the NBA. All these teams that built arenas in the 1990s, basically, they either need to move forward with huge renovations, which we're seeing in Washington. Delta Center's getting a big reno in Utah to upgrade it as well as accommodate the hockey team. But Dallas is going to get a new building. They're going to go out on their own. Philadelphia is already done, and other markets are looking at it as well.
Okay, so can we go back to the Thunder for a second? Because they defending champions. They have a roster that, for basketball people, seems poised to potentially be a contender in the NBA for a very long time. You have them, I think, 22nd here, $4.34 billion. They're closer to dead last than they are to 17th, just to give you a sense of kind of how fat that bottom hardwood floor is. They're in a small market, but there's no major pro competition there. You mentioned the new arena and the public money. How should people think about the business of a very successful on-the-court Oklahoma City Thunder team and what it may look like moving forward if they stay competitive?
Yeah, I think there's more upside there, particularly with the new arena. The Thunder have moved out of that bottom group where they were kind of stuck in the bottom four franchises and are moving up the ladder. What hinders them though is they're capped at some point because of the market size. One of the smallest markets in the NBA, and that caps you when you think about going to market for the corporate base that's in Oklahoma City, as well as caps you to a degree if you put the team up for sale. Now, NBA team owners to some degree are somewhat agnostic when you think about NBA. It doesn't have to be my local team, and the number of billionaires that are based in Oklahoma City it's not a huge number, but ultimately, to get the high price, you need multiple people that are coming to the table that are bidding for this asset. So with the new building, there's absolutely upside, but they're capped. Getting into the top half of the financial table, really hard in a small market like Oklahoma City.
Here's the calculus, by the way, Kurt, when I try and figure out number of billionaires possible buying. You'll get your one or two that you didn't know, fine. But I'll never forget when the Bucks were up for sale, and of course they were New York-based people, and you're buying the Bucks, and the comment was, I just need to be able to get home and sleep in my own bed after the game. So from a private jet from Dallas to Oklahoma City, private jet from LA, just give me that timetable, and can you get to sleep on your own pillow? You're broadening that group a little bit.
Oklahoma City is not in a good place for that, to be very clear, right?
Not great.
It's you're right. Dallas and Texas billionaires easy, but the New York or San Francisco or even LA, really, you're talking about.
What's your flight time from LA to Oklahoma City?
3
in
hours,
your Gulfstream, I don't know, in your G4, whatever it may be.
Wow, there is a lot of money in Dallas and Houston.
Yes, there's a lot of money in Texas.
Throughout Texas. So,
that's why I said it first.
If you're applying the private jet calculus, Oklahoma City might be the least accessible, or one of the least accessible teams in the
but that's my
NBA
calculus.
By Gulfstream radius.
I'm saying I'm just not leaving that one zip code. That's all I'm saying.
Fair. Wanted to, according to our social team, we wanted to play a game on the pod before we left. So I put together a few questions. Going to put you on the hot seat here for some rapid fire. Some of them are predictions. Some of them are trivia. Some of them are analysis.
This is like password?
Kind of, yeah. But
I'm surprised you knew the reference.
I think is the answer. Okay, let's start off with a couple here.
Does Eben know Chuck Woolery is my question.
I do not know Chuck Woolery.
Oh God. Okay. Oh,
wow, great.
We always
Badenhausen these things with what does Eben know?
Whoa! You brought up. You said what is this password?
I did not bring up password.
No, but Kurt brought up password. So
2 and 2.
2 and 2. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Right. See, but I love Kurt's reaction to you not knowing was really good.
I think we've established that there's a whole series of 80s pop culture.
Yeah, we've established there were all.
That's what we've established. I think that's all we've established.
All right, let's rattle off a few of these real quick, Kurt. You have the Golden State Warriors and the Lakers over $10 billion right now. The Knicks are literally right there. Who is the fourth NBA team to cross the $10 billion mark?
I'm going to say it's the Clippers or 76ers in their new building.
Okay.
Just the economics of controlling your building. Again, the Sixers is going to be a 50-50 partnership, but I'm putting my money on one of those.
I mean, the Clippers did like playing on Monday nights?
And if it's
what is the game? Am I supposed to just say one word?
Yeah, we can play around with it. Okay, another one. This one's a trivia. See how well you know your past valuations. So the floor in the NBA right now is $4 billion. When was the last year, you've been doing this for a while at Forbes before this, when was the last year that there was not a single NBA team worth more than $4 billion?
Wow, good question. I will say 2017.
1 year off, 2018.
That's solid. That's really well done.
You had the Knicks at number one, $3.6 billion. The next year, 2019, the Knicks were over $4 billion. So, in those 7 years, we have gone from the ceiling to being the floor, essentially, in the NBA. Okay, this one's a prediction one, and not counting the Blazers or the Lakers deals closing. Over under 1.5 control stakes in the NBA sell in 26. Scott, you can weigh in here too if you want.
Under.
In 2026, I
Correct.
will say. I mean, we're assuming the Lakers,
Lakers and Blazers don't count.
are both excluded. I'm going to say under also.
Okay.
I say one deal in 2026.
One team. Want to say the same? Want to say 3, 2, 1? We say the team.
I can get in here too.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to say the same team.
3, 2, 1. New Orleans.
Pelicans.
What
did you say, Kurt?
What
did you say, Kurt?
Indiana or New Orleans?
Yeah, so I've heard a lot about Indiana as well, which is why I was asking.
I've heard that for
It's
7
one or
years,
the
which is
other.
why I don't believe it anymore. Right.
Okay.
One or the other. I'd be shocked if both happen.
Let's do 2 more here. This one is just a subjective. I'm curious, what's the hardest team to value here? Is there one specific team that is, because of their business, their ancillary businesses, or where they sit, that is just particularly hard to get a handle on?
I think the top of the table for these are always hard to do. What are the Golden State Warriors worth? Because their business is so much bigger than everybody else. I mean, 30% larger. They own the real estate. They own the building, and they own the real estate around the building and all the economics. They own a WNBA franchise that is by far the most profitable WNBA franchise. Did more ticket revenue per game this year than 10 NBA teams did, including this year's 2 NBA finalists. So the Warriors are tough in the same way the New York Yankees are tough. If the Yankees came up for sale, what's the market there? This is a once every 50 years opportunity to buy. And the Warriors, though, is just tricky. We saw the Lakers with a set a number there for those top 10 for those top 3 teams. But the Warriors' business is so much stronger than those. And the question is there an appetite for a $14 billion NBA team?
So this was not on my list, but since you mentioned it, who is more superlative in their league, the Warriors, the Cowboys, or the Yankees?
Well, the Yankees have a lot of competition right now with the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers at this point are neck and neck,
Yep.
and arguably and generated more revenue last year than the Yankees did by going to the World Series and with Shohei in town. So right now, it's the step up from the Rams to the Cowboys is actually pretty similar to the step up from the Lakers to the Warriors. So the Cowboys and Warriors, their economic model is roughly about the same exponentially from 2 and 3 in the league.
And then let's close on this. This is the classic question. We've asked it many times on the show. I'll keep asking it. Kurt and Scott, you weigh in here too. If you look at the average valuation per league right now, the order in the major men's U.S. sports is the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, MLS. When that order changes, who jumps who?
NHL passes
and
MLB.
When?
I'll say NHL passes MLB. I don't think they're going to get their local media straight for some time. When? Within 5 years.
Ooh, okay.
I think NHL passes MLB also, but temporarily, because I think MLB does get their house in order. New CBA gets worked out. Ultimately, figure out the broadcast component, and unlocks a lot of value with Major League Baseball. But I think it's a rocky road over the next 3 years.
This is fun. I would love to pull our answers to this over the last few years because I have been NHL passing MLB for a while, and now I am the least confident, I think, of the three of us that is the thing because of what you said, Kurt, that we could see just a dramatic overhaul in the next few years of the economics of Major League Baseball in a way that just really, really shoots MLB valuations up quite considerably. And I don't know if it's not that where the other ones are because it feels pretty safely ensconced to everybody else. I don't see MLS passing NHL anytime soon. Baseball catching up to NBA seems impossible at this point. The NFL's business shows no sign of slowing down. So I think that has to be the answer at this point. But I am way less confident that this list changes in order anytime soon than I was even maybe a year ago or 2 years ago.
I just look. There's multiple fights going. There's going to be owner, player. Not that we haven't seen that before, but because of that, I say maybe they don't get it right.
Yeah,
I
think it's temporary though. I think it's a 1 or 2 year blip, and
usually is.
And then MLB gets it all together. Yeah, the revenue difference is so dramatic right now. You have MLB teams being valued at 5 times revenue, and NHL right now is. They're pushing 9 times revenue. So the MLB teams are they are priced like distressed assets right now. If you look at the sports team landscape.
Well, he is the expert, Kurt Badenhausen. Thank you very much for joining us. You can find him on Twitter.
You know what I want, Kurt? I'm going to give somebody on the staff. You can keep going, Eben. I want to give somebody on the staff a day off. If they can get me Larry Ellison to comment on his regret of not buying the Warriors when he had the opportunity.
Thank you very much to Justin.
That would be really good. I want to see what Larry Ellison would say about the missed opportunity.
And Carol Winston would like you to know that you can follow the show at Sporticast, which is the hub of the Sportico Media Network.
Well done.